Greg Powers. That's Erin Hartigan.
I am.
And this is this week.
In Cruton.
You did it.
There you go.
All right.
Is that really, like, that's
Good
the thing?
job.
That's the thing.
We didn't do that back in my day.
I'm
No.
so proud of both of you for getting that. Good work.
I acknowledged my name, and I called it
I really don't
Cruton,
know
which
what
was
smile
really
I
weird.
have right now. Like, I don't know if it's the
the new monitor is really
On a
killing you,
scale
isn't it,
of 1
buddy?
to 10, how awkward do we look right now? No, this is great.
This is far from the most awkward show we've ever
all the
done.
other
You're
interviews
good.
that we've conducted together, which we were never allowed to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
We were chasing mic stands blowing away.
What I love about our comments section at this point is that it's just turned into debates about where to get good tacos, tortillas, the whole deal.
Are there more comments?
Yes, there's way more. We'll get to them later.
We
but
were
let's
having to put like bags of things. Just, like, remember on our camera, on our tripod.
This is
Remember
gonna
the
be
tripod was so
this is
cheap
just
and
gonna be
light that it was
historical.
like blowing away, and so we were
Right.
having to like throw my like suitcase of a purse on top of it. That was where we began, Powers. That was where we began.
It's fine.
It's come so far.
We
My
started
life
from
hasn't
the bottom.
changed, but yours has.
No,
We'll get to more
I
taco.
still chase
We'll get to
it.
more taco talk in a second. Let's get to recruits right now.
recruits. Today in Cruton
Yeah.
always begins with the Crute of the week.
Yeah.
Correct?
Exactly.
Yep.
And who is that, Mr. Powers?
Langston Anderson, Midlothian Heritage wide receiver, who actually named his top 5 this week after they were eliminated in the playoffs by Carthage. And one of the best games that I've seen in recent memory, 50-49, overtime win. Carthage goes for 2 and converts. But Midlo Heritage should have won that game, really. Carthage had a lot of breaks and took advantage of those breaks that they had in the game. But Langston Anderson was a beast with coaches from Auburn, Arkansas, SMU, and a couple others looking on. Auburn was one of the schools that made his Final 5. Langston balled. He was probably the best player on the field that night. It's been rated a 3-star by everybody, but really has a chance to be special on the next level. And one school in state I think that you want to watch real closely in this recruitment is Baylor. Baylor made his top 5. I think Baylor's in a really good position to land Langston. He's already taken an official visit to Baylor before he named his top 5, which indicates that he may have an idea of one of the schools that he wants to pick because he's set to announce his final decision on National Signing Day. One school to keep an eye on, though, if you're Baylor, is Ole Miss. He hasn't visited there yet, and he's from Mississippi.
Uh-oh.
Can I guess who his recruiter is at Baylor?
You can try.
I mean, I feel like there's this guy named Joey McGuire who kind of owns the state, right?
Yeah, he does. He's the former Cedar Hill coach who does a great job in the Dallas area, and you would have nailed it. He is the primary recruiter for
How
shocking.
did I know?
Yeah.
Can I ask you quickly, not to derail this segment like I have every other
but what
segment
else
here on the
is
show,
your job
Cavante
here?
Dixon on the other side the other night.
Oh, he was really amazing.
What do you make of him?
He's the one who scored the 2-point conversion.
Yeah.
Just a junior this year, so he'll be coming back. And the younger brother of Keontae Ingram, who's at Texas. And I got
Next
a
Jamal
feel
Charles.
I got a feel
Just
that
saying.
Kelvonte is leaning Texas early on.
Oh. And
It's
then
a family affair.
to tie Max into this, did Heritage blow this, or is Carthage just that good?
To hear Heritage say it was stolen from them because
There was a
questionable
very
touchdown at the end.
controversial call.
Questionable call. Yeah.
There was a very controversial
But don't bring it up
call.
around Gabe Brooks.
At
Is
the
he
end of the game,
seat up from the feet up?
Oh, yeah.
there was a very controversial call at the end of the game where Carthage scored a touchdown as time expired. They were on the goal line. Visual proof from Greg Powers there was that he did not cross the plane,
Wow,
but the referees saw it differently.
You're calling it proof, huh? Okay, well. All right.
Don't question
But
Powers, that is.
Carthage,
okay?
but after that, Carthage did go out and win the game, and Coach Surratt, with the 2-point conversion call in overtime, earned the victory.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you have to win games.
Fair
That's
enough.
the thing.
Scott
That's the thing.
Surratt is really good at coaching the game
Yes,
of
he
football.
is.
We had some big commitments this week, but your commit of the week is
Texas A&M tight end Jalen Wittermeyer.
Oh, yeah.
ooh.
And right now, despite the fact that Texas A&M's tight ends coach moved on to coach with Mac Brown at North Carolina, Tim Brewster, that's the program right now in the state if you're a tight end that you might want to play for. Everybody saw the numbers that Jay Sternberger put up this season. They used the tight end, and I know that Jalen is very excited about his potential future in that offense. And Texas A&M kind of doubled up at the tight end position this week because they hired Joe John Finley, who's the new tight end coach at Texas A&M.
Big steal for the Aggies there.
Big steal for the
Kind
Aggies.
of an underrated player, too, playing at Dixon all year. I mean, they had a nice year, and I know Coach Nelson is a big fan of his.
Well, tight end's one of those positions that you can look at the offer list and kind of assess things from.
Yeah.
He had an offer from Alabama
Yeah.
at that position, and he's a player that schools kind of looked at as a defensive target, and some right too could play outside linebacker, defensive end possibly. But Alabama, Miami, Georgia, all schools, LSU, Michigan, all schools that like to feature the tight end, and those are the difference makers. When you look at somebody's offered list, you kind of have to assess who's coming after him and what are they coming after him for. So this is a big tight end commitment because those schools love and know how to use a tight end.
You mentioned Mac Brown. How is that going to affect recruiting here in Texas? He's obviously very tied to the Texas high school football fraternity, so to speak, right?
Well, I think they should
But-
definitely recruit Texas.
Well, yeah, but I mean, how many kids are actually going to want to go play?
I think with a guy like Mac
The
Brown, and Mac,
SEC.
if you're listening to this show today, nextlevelathlete.com, come visit us.
All
We've
right.
got some Texas prospects for you. Team of scouts with 120 years of loyal service scouting and coaching in Texas high school football. Mac Brown, we have the Texas recruits you need.
Great pitch. Great pitch.
And then Les Miles at Kansas now. We'll talk about that maybe a little later.
Lord.
We'll get into that a little. Do you like how I'm just making up
Just,
topics for today's show as we go?
I'm not
Well,
surprised.
we did have one rule, and that was not to script recruiting questions. Just ask me whatever you want.
Oh, really? So I can
And I'll answer them.
because
That's-
see, this is like what we did was we just kind of like it was just a mess.
I don't mind what you mix in. Let's stay on track, young lady.
Okay, we'll stay on track. So I won't ask you about Les Miles at Kansas. We won't talk
Yet.
about how
Yet.
Kansas should just get rid of its football program altogether.
Hey,
We
that-
shouldn't go there.
I would never say that.
Okay.
I think Kansas as a
That's
university.
a really
would be-
hard place to win.
Can we just get rid of Kansas?
That's a-
like period.
A lot of change going on in
Not-
Kansas right now. Kansas State.
Not a fan of its basketball.
I'm not a
Over
fan.
there,
Of,
Max?
I'm not a fan of Kansas at all.
Look,
How can you be from the Midwest and have any affinity for Kansas whatsoever
you
if you're not
can't
from
win
there?
you can't win there as the head coach of their football program, right? Like you can't.
They said that about Baylor.
true.
But it's.
Iowa State was 8-4 this year.
Yep, Iowa State.
Go Clones.
But you know what? Here's the thing. At least Baylor is in the state of Texas. Like it's difficult to either get kids from Texas or Florida or California to go to Kansas, to the state of Kansas in general, right? And the pool of prospects in the Midwest isn't as deep as Texas.
No,
and
the
Florida, and
300-mile
Ohio.
radius is quite different
So-
than Kansas.
It's really hard to recruit there.
Agreed.
For football wise, right?
Agreed.
And so I'm like, I just don't feel like you can win there no matter who you are. I mean, we saw David Beatty was National Recruiter of the Year in the state of Texas for how many years before, right?
You're touching on so many hot issue
I
buttons
know.
for
Good
me.
Lord.
Because I would say that David Beatty
Because it's like so many people want to.
deserved a bit more time at
Yes,
Kansas.
I agree. Totally agree. But he was also put in a tough situation. It's a death sentence.
But he needed more time
Coaching
because
there.
you need 15 years at Kansas.
Now, here's what I would make a debate for any program
I
that's
just feel bad 'cause
struggling.
that's my guy, and I would have liked to see
The
him get more
transfer
time.
rule is going to blow the doors off for some of these programs. I mean, you could really touch in on the right year, get the right transfers, and change your program overnight.
Yeah, that would help him, right? Like, hey, come here,
Right.
get playing time,
And we'll just hope that Kansas
start
never
putting your
does.
reel together for the. Okay, sorry, but it's like I'm interested to see if Les Miles can't do anything there. I think we consider just
Maverick
bidding
Cassidy in
farewell
our
to
comments
football
says, I mean, Kansas did go to the Orange Bowl and win. We don't talk
Mark
about that.
Mangino.
We don't talk about that. That never happened.
was that like almost a decade ago,
It was more than a decade
and
ago.
what have we
Yeah, it
done
was.
since?
Yeah, not much, unfortunately.
On to the underclassmen of the week.
Oh, right. The thing we're supposed to be doing.
Yep, back on script. Back on script. This is a 2020 kid, right?
Yep. And picked up a big win. Malik Hornsby.
Oh, my God. He's so good.
And, I think a lot of people thought that Fort Bend Marshall's season would run out of gas quickly in the playoffs, and they've sustained so much success this week.
They made Port Neches Grove look really bad last week.
And it was billed as a top
Yeah.
quarterback duel between Rashawn Johnson and Malik Hornsby, and of course Hornsby comes out on the right side of that. Only needed to throw 12 passes to lead the Buffaloes to a 53-14 win.
It was a bloodletting.
224 yards on 6 completions.
Yep.
6.
Yep. And one of them was him throwing against his body, running the other way for a touchdown.
So almost 30 yards per completion, rushed for 140 yards, and scored 4 touchdowns. Way to go, Malik Hornsby. Way to lead your team.
There it is. That's the exact throw right there.
There you go.
Yeah.
What
What timing, Max?
I know. I'm good.
What offers do we have here?
Oh, everybody wants to come. Texas A&M and Texas In-State.
Shall we go with who hasn't offered? Is that a shorter list? Where is he leaning, though?
Well, that's probably debatable. I think Texas A&M's probably done a really good job out of the gate. Did not recruit an in-state quarterback in this class. They've went out of state for their quarterback commitment, so I think it's important to establish a signal caller from the state of Texas on your roster early on. I mean, it's not a necessity as long as you get a quarterback who can lead you to wins, but I think that Hornsby's probably the guy that they've targeted. He's got all the, a lot of the big offers. Georgia, the most recent one this week, really kind of tells you where he's going with his recruitment and what schools are coming after him, because Georgia knows a thing about quarterbacks. That Jake Fromm guy, he's pretty good, and the guy backing him up, Justin Fields, he's pretty good too.
Yep.
So they know what they're doing when they look at quarterbacks. The one that would be glaring to me on the national scale, looking at that list, as a team that I think he could fit in very well with, is Ohio State. I mean, I really think he's that style of quarterback that Urban Meyer's had success on. So maybe the Buckeyes will come through with an offer.
Urban will no longer be there, though, right?
I have no idea.
No, he retired this morning.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huge
So
news in college
who
football.
actually
See what you miss?
Ryan Day is taking over.
See what you miss
But
whenever you're preparing to talk high school
See-
football.
see?
You miss college football.
Yeah.
Well, you know what though? I don't know who are some coaches that are available.
No, they're just.
Do you think they're
Ryan Day is.
Ryan
the head
Day
coach.
is?
It's official.
Okay.
Like, he is the head coach.
Matt
Wow.
Campbell would have been a great option, I think, there too.
Yep.
Although that would probably sting Max Thompson.
Yeah, but but like I said, I was relieved. They announced Ryan Day will be the head coach permanently, and they will not be stealing my coach. So I'm good.
And I think that's a
How
move
long does he
that
stay at Iowa State?
Huh? I don't know. It's probably not long. I am not one of the Iowa State fans going, oh no, he's going to be our Bill Snyder. He'll leave eventually. But I think he's proven at this point he can wait for a great job.
Well,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
Iowa State was
Yeah.
one of the more savvy hires with Matt Campbell, but also one of the great contracts that locked him into a huge buyout. So a school that wants to come after Matt Campbell has to be hugely dedicated to dumping in money.
And they did that last year during the Tennessee rumors.
Right.
Yep.
So that was a very good move by Iowa State.
You talked backup quarterbacks earlier in the SEC. Can we give a quick shout to our boy Jalen Hurts?
Definitely.
I was like, Channel View. I mean, he could have transferred. I mean, it would have been so easy for him to transfer and play elsewhere, right? But he stuck it out. And for him to be called upon and be ready to go in that moment, I was pretty proud.
Pretty good.
It was awesome.
All right, let's wrap this thing up. Who's our prospect on the rise?
Prospect on the rise. Logan Wilson from Dallas Bishop Dunn.
Bishop Dunn has prospects?
Yeah, they
That's
do.
weird.
They'll be playing in the state championship this week, and I haven't seen Duncanville in person yet. I'm slated to see Duncanville this weekend at the Frisco Ford Center, take on South Lake Carroll. But to this point, regardless of level of play, Bishop Dunn has the best defense I've seen this season. And Logan Wilson has had a tremendous senior year. Offers are starting to come in as a result. Seems like he gets one almost every day. Mostly FBS schools outside of the Power 5, the group of 5 schools right now. Wyoming offered yesterday. Colorado State's offered. Arkansas State. He was at one time committed to Arizona. But a school to possibly keep an eye on is Kansas State in this. If the Wildcats offer, who going through a coaching change there, that would be one to really watch. I think that Logan really likes the possibility of playing in the Big 12.
Speaking of Bishop Dunn, so I'm up at OU interviewing A.D. Miller for the Red River feature that I was working on. And I felt so old because he's like, I feel like I know you. He's like, I feel like he's like, did you come here last year to interview? And I was like, no. I said I used to cover high school football recruiting. I said I might have gone to bit. And he's like, oh yeah, you were that chick that was always at our practices or whatever. And I'm like, yep, I'm her.
Yes.
And to even
And
date
it made me feel really old because he was like, God, how long ago was that?
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey.
Well, similar story. I bumped into Trent Williams at the at the Longview game, and he remembered me from the Max Emfinger All-American Bowl, which was about 14 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So you're older than I am.
Oh,
so,
definitely.
So I felt old, but you probably feel
Every time I bump into that, if somebody like I actually went home and said, you know what, I probably would have felt better if Trent Williams didn't remember me.
Yeah. Because he was like, oh, man, he's talking to Kyler. He's like, oh, man, that was like 7-8 years ago. And I'm like, it wasn't. Yeah, it was that long. I'm old. Hi.
But that was This Week in Crew.
That was. Yes, good job. Way to close it out.